voices, the 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 voices.
All right, so the song.
Winnie, did you read the lyrics?
Yes.
Okay. We'll get started. I'll do my little intro here. I've been practicing my reading. No, I haven't.
You're on a third grade level now?
Barely. I'll have to show you the music book that I got from the lady in Puerto Rico. It's a children's book, so there's pictures.
That's great. The more music, it's easy to be very complex when it comes to music, especially teaching theory. The people who can break theory down into its simplest parts and make it easy to understand, those are very special instructors. If
I was able to understand it, so
yeah.
she definitely broke it down to where like just even like the basics, like I said, it's basically a children's book. It's got pictures and stuff, and there is a lot of like information in it as well, but she does it in a way to where you can follow along, and she explains everything. This is this from the beginning. This is this, this is this, and this and this. Now let's go back. What is this? Can you find it in the picture? Can you draw it? Like where you make the music note and stuff, and like the instructions on how to draw it and stuff. So it's really neat. I thumbed through it.
So, well, thinking about that, it's interesting because it sounds like you're not only learning theory, but you're also learning to write music notes, which is really cool. And one of the wildest interpretations I ever heard of that, writing notes on a page, musical notation, was from Steve Vai. Do you know Steve Vai? Yeah. So Steve Vai, I remember in an interview, he said, I really became fascinated with music when I started learning theory, and I would get sheet music and I would see these black dots on these lines, and I was fascinated that represented sound.
It's true.
It that way, and I was like, wow, that is really cool.
I watched the videos on Instagram, like that the orchestra post or something.
Yeah. And
they'll have sometimes they'll have a picture of the orchestra playing. Other times it's just audio, and then they have the sheet music, and it just goes by, and like trying my favorite is the one with those drums. You told me what they were, but I forget the
drum notation.
I couldn't hear you.
Like Mike. Drum notation?
No, I think he's talking about the sound of timpani.
Yes, that's it.
Ah.
I couldn't remember what they were called. Well, watching this graphic, you got the 4 drums there, and every time the line catches the note, the drum moves, and I'm just watching it, and then you see different notes pop up, and then the different drums move, and it was really neat watching it. How like, yes, that note represents a sound.
Yep.
And depending on which note it is, that's going to be a different sound. And how anybody can read that is like, I can barely read this. Yeah,
what's truly amazing is, and I imagine, Winnie, you're probably at this stage. Some of my professors, they would actually just look at the written notation and they knew exactly what it sounded like.
Oh, yeah.
And that is just mind-blowing to me. To me, I understand the notes on the page. I know what the notes are. I can play the notes, but I don't really know what it sounds like until I play the notes in the rhythm that's notated.
I mean, it depends on your level of sight reading.
Yeah.
It also depends, of course, what's written, because if you write Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, I'm going to see it and I'm going to hear it. But if you write some like massive bebop lines, like super hard jazz lines.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna know it's bebop. I'm gonna like see the patterns and stuff, but I can't hear it yet. You know, it just really depends. But I bet someone that sights read a lot of bebop jazz could probably hear it. You know, it depends.
Although a lot of those jazz musicians, they just read chord charts.
Oh, see,
and
that's what we do.
And it's all improvised.
Yeah, that's what
which
we do.
Is really wild. But
Um,
I actually saw, so at the college I went to, even though we were a regular liberal arts college with a very small music department, we had a music library, and we had manuscripts from Mozart and Bach and a lot of the great composers, classical composers. And one of the ones that blew me away was it was a Bach piece, and he was an organist. So his day job was playing organ for the local church.
Yes.
So he would write the right hand of the organ, and the left hand was only like chord notation.
Yes.
And the reason for that was because his left hand was soloing the whole time. And so every time he played it, he played that left hand differently. So he left that kind of blank with just the chord notation.
Yeah. It's funny how
And
basically
I was like,
tell us
holy crap.
classical music, they basically tell us, oh, classical music is about playing only what's written on the paper. You can't improvise. Yet when you go back to Baroque Bach, that's exactly what he did. He used chord notation. He was improvising. So I don't know why they'd be eyeing on us. Like, it's always been there.
Yep.
See, of course, that notation has evolved. So the modern notation has its base from that, but it's very different.
Yeah.
I know it because I kind of studied that Baroque notation, and it still kind of confuses me a bit because it's not what we use nowadays, you know. But of course, it makes sense on its own. It's just something I don't practice because that's not what you see in a real book,
right?
You know. Yeah.
So, Adrian, tell me what it was about these lyrics that makes you think it's about cannibalism.
All right, let me start. I'm gonna do my introduction and then go from there. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Let's Discuss It. I am your host, Adrian Lugo. Joining me as usual is my co-host, Mr. Michael Tucci, as well as Miss Winnie Feliciano. Today, we will be discussing the song Glycerine by the British rock band Bush. Now, the reason I want to discuss this song is I think it was sometime last week, listening to the radio at work, and the song comes on. And I've heard the song a million times over the years, and never really paid too much attention to it, but I know the song. And it just, one of the lines kind of like caught my ear, and where he says, what is the line itself? Couldn't love you more, you've got a beautiful taste. And I just caught that, and I started thinking about that, and I was like, is this song about cannibalism? And one of the other guys that I work with, my coworker, he just like, well, I never thought of it like that. And normally when I say stuff, because all day long I'm like talking out loud to myself when I hear something, or if I'm thinking about something, and like everybody thinks I'm crazy because I just, you know, every now and then Adrian's like talking and there's nobody there. Who's Adrian talking to now? But he actually heard me, and he commented saying, yeah, like I never thought of it like that. And then I started thinking, it's like, yeah, it's like, I'm going to do a discussion on this. And I think I mentioned it to you, Mike. And I was like, I don't think he's taking me serious. Like, I really want to talk about this song. I want to see what it sounds like. And then when I mentioned it to Winnie, before I even asked her if she wanted to be a part of it, she goes, yeah, I'm in. It's like, oh, okay, well, that answers the next question then. But I started reading the lyrics while I was at work, you know, because I'm at work. What else am I going to do? I'm not going to do any work. But I started reading the lyrics, and like it stood out. Like, I think it's about cannibalism, or like he's eating somebody. But then I haven't really
That
looked at it.
particular line that you quoted, when I read through the lyrics, that particular line was the only one that stood out with any relationship to the concept of cannibalism.
Yes, because I haven't looked at it since, you know, maybe like once when I tried praying it out before, but I was reading it earlier, and you're right. That's the only thing that stands out with just that one line. So I don't really think it's about cannibalism, but it's definitely.
Well, you know, it could be vampirism.
No, it's not vampirism.
I mean,
No, actually, I have a good idea what it's about, but go ahead.
I think he's talking about. Well, there's definitely more than one person he's talking about in this, but it's the same person himself.
Yes.
There is. I don't know if it's death or hurt. It's definitely hurt. Do something hurting there, and like some of the references I didn't really get, but the title is what is bothering me, because I couldn't figure out what the hell does glycerin has to do with anything.
Huh?
And I thought glycerin was like a poison, like it's a toxic. Well, it's not. It's used in like antifreeze and a whole bunch of different other things, including food.
And yeah, and in foods, but there's one big thing, one very explosive thing that it's used in.
I've probably missed this.
Nitroglycerin.
Okay, that I did know. It hasn't really come up with anything that I've been trying to Google, like, okay, what is this? But I did know that.
Winnie, what did you think after looking it over just now?
Okay, first of all, when I hear the word glycerin, I'm like, isn't that the thing that they put in the hair products to keep the moisture in the hair? Like, and when I Googled the glycerin from the hair products, there's a difference in glycerin from the lyrics and the hair products. Is the one of the lyrics has an E at the end. So it's written differently. So this glycerin is not the same from the hair products. So that's one thing. Second thing.
The difference with that is English in England and English in the US.
Yeah, they add letters.
Different spelling.
They switch around ER and REs.
Yeah, that could be. You're right. But okay, so when I read the lyrics and I heard the song, I feel like it was a toxic relationship. There was a lot of like fighting between each other, like literally physically hurting each other, like violence. And you got a beautiful taste. I honestly think it was sexual. I was like, oh,
that was
sexually.
Right. That was when the relationship was good and everything was good. And you're exactly right. When I read through those lyrics the first time, the first thing that struck me was how fairly incoherent he wrote it.
Yeah.
It really is jumbled, the things that he's putting together, but maybe he wanted it that way to make an impact of how tumultuous the relationship actually was. So it was a physical indication of how tumultuous it was. And that was what I ran into is glycerin, nitroglycerin. It was an explosive relationship. It was something that he really wanted to work, but it just couldn't possibly work because they were so volatile when they were together.
There's a couple other lines where, let me see if I can find them. Don't let the days go by. Could have been easier on you. I couldn't change though I wanted to. Should have been easier by 3. Our old friend fear, you and me. And then it drops down. Where was it at? Oh, before that, I'm never alone. I'm alone all the time. Are you at one or do you lie? We live in a wheel where everyone steals, but when we rise, it's like strawberry fields. If I treated you bad, you'd bruise my face. Then that's where it comes in where I couldn't love you more. You have a beautiful taste. So if I treated you bad, you'd bruise my face. Is that me beating myself up?
Well, I think that's the explosive relationship that she actually hit him. And I think the taste thing, as much as, yes, there's a sexual content in that line, I can't help but under situations like that, think, dude just needed something to rhyme. And I hate that when I see that. You know, you're like, really? You actually said that just because you needed something to rhyme with it? It doesn't make sense.
I feel like that could have happened too, but it was done in a way where like he found a word or he found a way to make it make sense.
Right.
He's like, oh, this kind of makes sense. People can think whatever they want.
And you know what? It's actually a really interesting rhyme, the way that he did it, because if you think face is not that hard of a word to rhyme, especially when you're talking in a relationship context. The first word that comes to my mind is lace, like lace lingerie, you know, or and stuff like that. So maybe there was intent, and maybe he worked backwards. Maybe he had that line about taste and he had to work backwards to make something that work with it.
Glycerine is a colorless, odorless, viscous liquid that is sweet tasting and non-toxic.
Yes.
So a beautiful taste, you taste sweet. You have a sweet taste to you?
No, I really think that's, I really think the line is like when he said it's a sexual connotation.
Yeah. But now I'm confused because of the glycerin.
Well, so when I looked it up, and I actually looked up the meaning of the song, not just glycerin itself.
We're doing that last.
But that's the point right here.
Well, I want to see what it means, what we think it means, and then at the end, look up what the actual meaning is and see how.
Because the guy, the singer of Bush who wrote it, it does actually talk about what it means.
Yeah, I wanted to do that last.
No.
Oh, okay. Wait. Now I want to know, but it's okay.
Inquiring minds.
It's okay. It could be like a type of drug abuse, but I didn't know glycerin was a drug. I just know that they put it on hair products, and I know this because I watch a lot of reviews on different hair products, having curly hair. And they're like, "Oh yes, glycerin. You should avoid it. Actually, like a lot of people don't like it. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Point is, I know glycerin is an ingredient for hair products. So weird that's all I'm getting from that name, that word. Then I'm like, but it could be a name. But who the hell would be named Glycerine? Ew, what the fuck? Poor girl.
Unless it was an actual name that he gave the relationship in general.
I feel like the song talks about like a sadomasochist relationship with this mysterious glycerin thing, whatever, if it's a person or a drug. There it is.
There's one set of lines towards the end. Bad moon, whine again. Bad moon, whine again as she falls around me. Now, when I read that, I read she as being the moon, just referencing like it's the she as being it's the moon, not an actual person, or a specific person.
Well, then what does it mean by the moon whining?
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either. I read that note. What?
I mean, I know that I'm kind of spiritual, kind of like into spiritual symbolisms and stuff. So the moon always signifies like intuitive things, secrets, things that are like behind the scene, things like that. So bad moon could be like bad things behind the scene. Wine again, I think the word wine that is written there means like whining when you're sad. Is that what he means? So he's sad about this mysterious thing. Like overall, the lyrics are mysterious. It's something mysterious going on. It's something bad mysterious going on. But at the same time, he kind of likes it. It's like bad, like it. So
he's drawn to it. It's like it's like that that thing that you know is bad for you, but you can't stop doing.
Yeah, like all the bad love decisions.
Go to get another beer.
I used to punch walls, so yeah, I know exactly.
Me liking guys that are just bad decisions in general. So yeah.
Just like bad musicians? Or
well, they're great musicians, but they're bad decisions.
Oh, I thought you said me liking guys that are bad musicians.
No.
No, she couldn't bring herself to do that.
No,
in the beginning of the song, they have the it's not my time to wonder why everything going. Wait, I'm too far ahead. I'm never alone. I'm alone all the time. Are you at one or do you lie? We live in a wheel where everyone steals. But when we rise, it's like strawberry fields. I did it like this morning. I just trying to like, well, what does that mean? Like I looked it up and the first thing that popped up was the song, the Beatles song, Strawberry Fields. But now.
So that right there, along with the whining bad moon, I think he's intentionally using 60s rock references. So Strawberry Fields, obviously everybody knows the Beatles song Strawberry Fields Forever.
Creedence Rising.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Okay, I couldn't think of the band. I didn't think of that earlier when I read it.
I both of those struck me because the whole that Strawberry Fields line just doesn't seem like it makes sense. Unless he has some personal connotation of that obviously he doesn't go into. Which is possible. Strawberry Fields could be different for everybody.
What do strawberry fields look like?
Strawberries.
Yeah,
obviously.
Strawberry bushes.
They look green and red.
But also the part of Central Park in New York City that's across from the hotel sidewalk where John Lennon was killed is called Strawberry Fields.
Do you know where the title comes from?
No.
For the song? It's an orphanage in London, I believe. But it used to play in the playground in front of the building, or there was part of the building. When I Googled, I only spent a couple minutes this morning because I could have done this a week ago, but instead I decided to wait till the last minute.
And it's all fresh in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't procrastinating. I had but I did just looking at that, it mentioned like where the song title came from, where John Lennon was, it's an orphanage called Strawberry Fields, and he used to play in the playground. I don't know if it was attached to the building, to the orphanage, or if it was just in front of it or something, but the title comes from that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I for like 3 seconds, kind of questioned if that had any meaning to the song, if there was like a reference in there to that. It's like an orphanage and maybe like hurt somewhere's in there, because I don't think orphanages are really a good place to be.
Think about the line that started that, where what does he say, that I'm never alone but I'm alone, or something like that?
Yes.
So if you think about that,
Where everyone steals.
where everyone steals, but also being alone in a crowd where you're surrounded by tons of people but you feel alone. That's how kids in an orphanage feel.
That was my childhood, and I was in an orphanage.
But so maybe that now of course, maybe we're just reading into it.
Well,
Maybe again he was like, oh man, this would be the perfect rhyme for that line.
I know with my writings, I've had people like read it and come up with like completely different meanings than what I wrote them for. And the one writing that stands out is ignis, which means it's Latin for fire. And I posted a video on Facebook. I think I was living in Puerto Rico at the time, but the video is just a flame. It was a lighter. I'm in my kitchen with the lights off, and I just videoed the flame, you know, dancing around. And then I had the I don't know if, because I had me reciting the lyrics, you know, to that video, but I don't know if she was responding to the video or if it was just the lyrics that I posted, or not lyrics, but the words that I posted on the Facebook. But the lady thought I was talking about Jesus. No idea how, but that's what she got from it. So I do like how people can read stuff and come up with like different meanings, you know, as opposed to what the actual writer wrote about.
I think certain people who are overly obsessed with their religious belief, they see it in everything. So there were two great Spanish philosophers hundreds of years ago. One was Santayana, and the other was, I think, Espinoza. And they had two opposite philosophies, where one, back at that time, philosophy, even in the time of Descartes, philosophy was used to attempt to justify the existence of God. And I think it's Santayana said that God is in everything that you see. God's in the rocks, God's in the trees, and the, you know, not just in people, and not just some ethereal thing above the clouds, kind of thing. And I forget what the other was, but so that's what I mean, is that she may see just about any writing or something and immediately see, quote unquote, the hand of God in it, or Jesus, something like that. Whereas, you know, in The Waterboy, Adam Sandler's character's mother could only see the devil. Everything's the devil. The foosball is the devil. Girls are the devil.
Oh, I can agree with that part. Winnie, did you want to add anything else to this?
I think I said what I said with the song. I feel like there's some kind of sadomasochism going on with this glycerin, whether it be a person or a substance. He's definitely drawn to it. He doesn't like it, but he likes it. It's weird. He doesn't like understand why. That's why the whole turmoil of the lyrics and stuff. That's why it leaves you with that feeling like, what is he talking about? Because not even himself really knows like what he wants to feel. So he portrays that in the way he writes. I've done that in some of my writings too. That's it in general.
So it's interesting. Before we wrap this up and actually go Google the actual meaning. One of the things that sticks out for me with this song is that I never really knew a lot of the lyrics, but from hearing the song, it was always a powerful song to me. And the most powerful version of it that still is the foremost memory I have about the song is many, many years ago. This was probably in the mid 2000s. Bush was playing a concert on the beach in Florida, somewhere in Florida. And they were like the headliners. So it's late at night, it's dark, and it was raining. And the Bush singer comes out. The whole rest of the band left the stage, and it's just him and his guitar, his guitar was still fairly heavy sounding, so it wasn't like an acoustic version, but it was just his guitar and him, and it was the most emotional rendition of this song. And he's standing in the pouring rain, and when I first saw it, I was like, he's really lucky he didn't get electrocuted to death. But it was just so powerful to see, because everything was black. He's just silhouetted and a spotlight, and this rain coming down, and the rain is falling off the strings of the guitar while he's playing and everything. And it was just really voice. It was just so powerful. It was just an amazing, amazing version of the song.
Well, if he did get electrocuted, he could have wrote another song about it. Worked for Kiss.
All right, so Google it.
I thought you did.
Well, I did previously.
Okay. So what's the name?
And that's where the whole nitroglycerin thing came out. So it was a representative of an explosive relationship that was really good when it was good, but was really bad when it was bad. And he eventually needed to get out of, but he didn't really want to.
I did Google it as you were talking, and the one thing that came up was it was written about his then girlfriend. So the relationship. I forget what her name was. It was one I just glanced over real quick.
Well, hell, I don't even remember what his name is, so we don't even need to know the
Gavin
girlfriend.
Rossdale.
Yes, Gavin.
This is the only song that I really know by Bush. I don't know any of their.
Actually, you probably know a lot. You just didn't realize they were Bush.
Probably. There's
They
a lot of
had a
that
lot
I've
of
heard
songs
that
that got a lot of radio airplay.
I know he's a good actor.
Really?
He was in the movie Constantine. He played the I forget his character's name, but he was like the demon.
Wow, that's cool.
I think that's the only movie that I know him from. But he was a good actor in that film.
Yeah, what was one of their other big songs was Chemical something. I mean, you may not even know the song by its name, but the song that I've played, you know.
The Chemicals Between Us?
Yes. Yep. And Machine Head. Everybody knows Machine Head.
What does Machine Head have to do with it?
No, not the band Machine Head, the Bush song Machine Head.
Oh. Okay, now it makes sense. I thought you were referring to the band.
Well, so, and that's the funny thing, because when I first heard that song, that was the same thing I thought. Why are they singing about another band?
They really like the band.
What song is that?
Machine Head.
Okay.
So it's a song by Bush called Machine Head. If you just look up Machine Head, you'll probably get the band Machine Head, because they're a metal band.
Oh, I didn't know that band.
Yeah, I follow the singer on Instagram. He's had some pretty cool
It's
posts
been
on
a while since I've gone back to my metal days and stuff. I've been like so into jazz. Actually, very into salsa and timba and flamenco. But I want to go back to that, like remember stuff.
Define metal days for you.
Wait, this
Bueno,
this is the greatest opportunity.
I know.
Make those genres heavy. Bring heaviness into them and do something nobody's ever done before. I've heard I heard a metal band do and they were only around for a short period of time at the end of the 90s, but in the 90s was the big resurgence of swing. And they did a metal swing tune. And it was unbelievable. It was so unique and so cool. And that's one of the things that I always lean toward progressive music, is because anything that was interesting you could bring into the genre.
Yeah.
So it would be wild to hear some salsa that had some heavy riffs in it, because those are some really cool syncopated riffs that would really I think would come off really well in a heavy guitar.
That's cool. I can make an arrangement like that, definitely.
Are you familiar with the band Sepultura and their song Roots, Bloody Roots?
I don't know if I know the song. I definitely know the band.
There's a version of that song featuring Luciano Pavarotti.
Awesome.
It's a parody song, but it's a German band. I forget the name. It came across on Spotify when I forget. I think I was listening to like Rammstein radio or something, and it started playing like other like German bands, which I never really listened to, because I'll just listen to Rammstein and that's it. But I clicked on something and then it started playing other music, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I need to do this. I need to like branch out and listen to other musicians. A bunch of
cool
not
German
just
bands.
the same thing over and over. But the came up with this parody band, and it had Luciano and friends. And when I tried Googling it, Pavarotti actually did a Pavarotti and Friends in the 90s and early 2000s, where it was like a benefit concerts where he would perform with other singers, And so it started like I had to like keep searching. I was like, is this actually Luciano Pavarotti singing? Because it kind of sounds like him, but I'm not sure. Like this is just a little too weird. And
they just take a clip of him singing and put it into their song.
No, because he was actually singing the song. He was singing the lyrics to Roots, Bloody Roots. And I ended up finding the video with the parody band, and they actually were performing with the band Sepultura, and they announced Luciano Pavarotti, and you get this guy that comes out in costume dressed as Pavarotti, and he sang, but he sounded just like him as he was singing, but unfortunately
that's fun.
It wasn't the real Luciano Pavarotti, which would have made it even cooler.
One of my favorite, I guess you could call them a spoof band. There's a band from Sweden and I don't know if they were around before Hailstorm, but their name is Alestorm, Alestorm.
I like Ale.
And Alestorm does what they call pirate metal. So they do all these traditional pirate songs, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum and all that kind of stuff, with like 80s keyboards and heavy guitars.
That's so fun.
I saw them in concert and I was like, this is nuts. It is so cool.
I've actually seen a band perform a song about a pirate and a sloth getting into a fight. It was at a battle of bands in like the mid 2000s up in New York. I want to say like Long Island, because the one girl that I was friends with who was doing like music promotion and stuff, she was friends with Dee Snider's son, Jesse. And he had a band and she was working with them and stuff. And so I went with her up to New York to see them play. And it was a battle of bands. And I don't know any of the other bands that were playing. I don't even remember the name of his band, but they performed and they were good. Like the musicians in his band were all good musicians. And it was just like they're basically session players. So you put the band together. But they were all good in their own right. So they didn't do too bad. But you get this band, they're talking about a pirate and a sloth getting into a fight. And they actually had people come on stage dressed as a pirate and a sloth, and they're acting it out, like in the background and all. And they actually won. And it just made me think, like, wow, it's like, you're Dee Snider's son, you're supposed to be in this band, you're like, you're going to be like this next big musician and everything, you know? And you lost a battle of bands to somebody singing a song about a pirate and a sloth, you know, and it was like theater for them. And I was like, that's where your music career is going. And it's pretty much that's where it went, because I don't think they did anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you go, you look at that and you go, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I think he went on and did like reality TV for a while, and he did some like comics and stuff, and was in a couple commercials, like voiceovers. But
Celebrity's kid can do it, reality TV.
well, reality TV.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think this is one of the shortest discussions we've done.
Wow.
At least recently. I think the last two. The last one was like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And,
Literally.
actually, well, the last discussion we did together was like 3 hours long, which somebody needs to edit that one and get it posted.
Yeah, I wonder whose job that is.
I'm not saying any names. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but somebody really needs to stop. You know, they need to get
his act together.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were gonna discuss what he actually meant. We did, yes. The bad relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the right.
All right.
Well, until next time.
It was fun.
The next time I hear a song on the radio that I think is about cannibalism, we'll have to discuss it.
Right. No, if that happens again, then what we're going to discuss is Adrian's obsession with cannibalism.
Yeah, I'm scared.
I don't have an obsession with it. All right, maybe a little bit. We'll talk about that later.
I'm scared.
Remember what I was saying about seeing God and everything?
I have never seen Ozzy Osbourne in a rock.
No, but you're beginning to see cannibalism in everything.
Possibly. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys later.
You got it.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so did I.
This was fun. I like these conversations.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Voices, the 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 voices.